What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing a tier list for Warp Zone on Lock and Load. So Brian, let us hear about the map.
Lock and Load is the map where we have to capture 5 specific points on the map called locks.
Celestial
To capture a lock,
locks.
both players need to have a unit standing on the lock simultaneously for 20 seconds, uncontested by the enemy, to turn it green. If the enemy stands on a lock uncontested for 10 seconds, it turns red and starts a timer bar that ticks as long as it remains uncontested, and fills faster the more uncontested locks he has. If the bar reaches full, we lose.
Yeah, so both players have to stand on the lock to actually capture it. And they have to stand on the lock uncontested. If both of you are standing on the lock, but there's an, for example, enemy overseer flying ahead over the lock, you cannot actually capture it. It has to be uncontested. Let's hear about the mutators.
We will have 3 mutators today. Temporal Fields are small circles that freeze our units and structures and slows down buildings. Time Warps are big circles that slow own all our units and structures. And Twisters are small circles that throw around our units.
Alright, so those are pretty easy mutators, but pretty annoying. So with me are Aommaster and Tutu. How are you guys today?
Alright, great.
That's good.
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Alright, that's awesome. That makes 3 of us. I'm also doing fine. Thank you for asking. Anyway, let's begin. Tutu, how are we going to rate the commanders this week?
So for this week, since they're all environmental mutators, I'm basically gonna rate them like if the commander can do a lot with a few units, then they'll be at the top, and if they need a big army, then they'll be somewhere near the middle, since everyone's pretty viable.
That actually sounds very solid. There's one thing I made my own rankings, but there's something's a little different for me. I put in an extra premium for commanders who can force their allies to end the map instead of dying to the bonus. So I have one commander who is an S tier, who both of you will probably disagree with. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we put him?
Abathur, so he gets a B because he can do a lot, but he needs like a small-ish army, so at like about 6 units. So those 6 units can do a lot, but it's more than just one. Hero unit commanders will do a lot better.
That makes
Abathur,
sense.
Deep Tunnel, he can do a lot. So he's really good, but he'll get pushed around a little.
Okay,
So B.
how about you, Aommaster?
For Abathur, or should I just move on for Alarak?
For Abathur, of course.
Abathur? I think I agree. Like the early essence farming is a little bit annoying for Abathur because of the environmental mutators. You're trapped by Temporal Field. You kind of end up having a really bad day.
That's
I
true.
agree with Abathur.
The only thing that would give Abathur a higher grade for me is the fact that you can kind of abduct your allies, workers, overlords, and even army into the Celestial Locks if he decides to kind of waste his whole army and your time on the bonus. Because how this map works is it gets exponentially harder the longer you stay in the game. If you can finish before 11 minutes, you will only have to deal with 2 capture waves. But if you stay for 1 minute longer, you will deal with 4 capture waves, and those get increasingly stronger. So I actually put him in A tier, but since both of you guys put B tier, I'll have to defer. We'll put him in B.
Yeah, the only one other thing to add is that his Brutalisks have the Frenzied passive. And because they have the Frenzied passive, they basically can ignore Time Warp, just unaffected by that.
That's amazing. Let's move on. Alarak, where do we put him?
Alarak, I want to put him like at around the B tier. Like his hero unit is like okay, but like in the same as Tutu said, like he needs an army. If you're going even for P3 Alarak, his mothership is gonna be pushed around a lot by the twisters and it'll get caught in the temporal fields, which will not stun it, but it'll slow it down. So I think Alarak maybe around the B-ish tier as well. He has good cooldowns, but
What
I
if
struggle a
you
little bit.
what if you just ignore having an army and just have a pylon with overcharge with that and the mothership? Would that work?
I mean, like you can push with Alarak with like just even the War Prism if you want.
Yeah.
But I think you're gonna have no problems clearing the middle, the southern, and the western lock. But once you start going to the final two locks, the northern and the eastern lock, I think pushing is gonna be a little bit more difficult, and you kind of need to have other stuff there to help you push.
Makes sense. How about you two?
Yeah, same reasoning as Abathur, which is that the hero unit is fine, but you need he needs an army to feed him for Empower Me as well. So he gets a B. His mothership is good, but it'll get pushed around. Same thing. So yeah, he needs to manage. Like you have to manage your army and navigate it through the twisters and the temporal fields, time warps.
Which would be really
So it's a
annoying.
little bit annoying.
Yeah. Would this ranking change without prestigious?
No.
Still B.
Essentially the same.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll put him in B. All right, Arcturus. Where do we put him?
Manx. So Manx gets a special rating just because like if you use an army, you're gonna get pushed around, but he doesn't need one. You just take the middle lock and you build ESOs and you destroy the rest of the map. Then you drop a bunker next to the lock to
That
capture
makes
it.
sense.
So pretty easy, tedious, but like not too difficult. So he gets an A.
A. All I can say is, building Earth Splitters, manning them, multi-building them. All I can say is easier said than done. But I don't disagree with A. How about you, Aommaster?
Yeah, I think he's around the A tier. I think Earth Splitters are pretty much the ideal way to do this mutation. You will struggle a little bit. I think Twisters do deal damage to structures. So it will be a little bit annoying, but
My strategy is actually just to rain down the vampires with mini nukes on the enemies, and they'll eventually die. Meaning the enemies. But I actually haven't B. But since both of you guys agree on A, alright, I'll defer to you guys. We'll put him in A. Artanis, where do we put him?
I would be tempted to put him in like C tier. He doesn't have any hero units. His cooldowns are mostly defensive, so his shield overcharge and stuff. So the only cooldown that you have access to is essentially the orbital strikes, which aren't very useful. So you need to use your solar bombardment. You're essentially only going to use it once in that game if you're through.
So you're not assuming Archship Commandant prestige.
I guess with the P3 it helps a little bit, but you're gonna run out of energy really quickly if you start spamming your orbital strike.
Alright, that makes sense. Tutu, how about you?
I think C or B tier, yeah.
He's one of the few commanders that requires a lot of units, and having more units to do more damage means they're gonna have more trouble going through the storms, the twisters and stuff. So, regardless of prestige, I would put him as C.
Okay, both of you agree with C. That's interesting. Alright,
I'm
C
glad
it
Tutu's
is.
agreeing with me.
C it is. How about Dehaka? Where do we put him?
Dehaka. I'm pretty sure Dehaka's pack leaders don't care about the mutators, at least not too much. So Dehaka by himself and his pack leaders can do almost everything, so gets an S. There'll be a lot of S's today.
There'll be a lot of S's today.
I put him in S.
How about you, Aommaster?
I agree 100%. Like, Dehaka plus pack leaders, I don't really think he needs anything else.
Yeah, another thing that Dehaka has is you can burrow creeper hosts in the middle of the map. And if your ally decides to go at the bonus, you can actually just send creepers at the bonus to help out your ally. So he'll stop wasting his time and kind of help you capture the locks. So, alright, we are all in agreement with S tier? It's unanimous?
Yes. I think the only one other thing to also note is for Temporal Field, if you have Mutalisks with the Primal Reconstitution upgrade, they basically are invulnerable if they're taking damage.
That's awesome.
That's a nice bonus.
All right, so let's move on. Fenix, where do we put him?
Phoenix, I would be tempted to put him in S tier if I think you're playing P1 Phoenix. Kundalar. Kundalar is just absolutely incredible if used properly.
On this map,
The
yeah.
S or the A tier.
Yeah. I would also use the first Prestige Akondalar. Just go one base with Phoenix flying around the Arbiter suit, then switching to those other suits. Then going around the Arbiter suit and then recalling Kaldalas and other dudes, and then switch to one of those other suits. That's gonna make it for a relatively fast clear, as long as your ally is also, sending stuff to help you clear. But how about you, Tutu? Where do you put Phoenix?
I forgot that you can just go to the locks and have them come to you
Yeah.
instead of going through the middle. Completely forgot about that.
Oh no.
Because I originally gave him a B with the same reasoning as Abathur. Because if you're going P2 or something, you have like your shells behind getting hit by twisters, while your 6 champions are going through the front. But if you could teleport from the back, how would you would need, if you're using P1, you have to do it within 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
if you have the central lock, you totally can do it in 20 seconds.
I suppose. I will say that with that new information, I would still give him an A, not an S, just because like you have to be like it's more work compared to the other ones. A little bit more.
Yeah, it does require a little bit of work, but one thing, like the way I normally play a Kundalar Phoenix on lock and load is I send a probe over. I get a probe like kind of close to the lock and just use Phoenix then to just delete everything near the lock.
The reason
After that,
why
it just doesn't really matter.
the reason why I'm hesitant on putting him in the same tier as Arcturus is because even though Phoenix has a bit more work, you have to warp in Legionnaires, Derps, and Conservators. You don't have to get the 6 champions, I think. You just have to get 2. Phoenix, or Kaldalas and Talus, and Conservators. It's still way less work than Arcturus, I think. And anytime you need to put out a fire, aka an attack wave, you can just warp in one of your other suits. I think it's easier, way easier than Arcturus. But since, again, if it's not unanimous, it's not S. So we'll put Phoenix in A. Everyone in agreement?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because of disagreement. It's an A.
Yeah, it's because of disagreement. Therefore, it's an A. There we go. Thank you. All right, Hot and Horner. Where do we put him?
On Horner, C, because they need a big army
Yes.
to do a lot of damage. Strike fighters get trapped and knocked, I think, by the twisters and stuff. Like if it gets trapped in a temporal field, then the strike that you expected to hit will not hit, and you have to use another one.
Wait,
Reapers and Galleons.
you need precision strikes.
like-
Is Hot and Horner? I didn't even make any of them.
No, but you can. I mean, like you usually do, unless you usually make them, regardless, right? Just at least a few. But like, yeah, their armies like really brittle, and getting knocked by the twisters too many times will result in their death.
Especially since the twisters like to camp the ramps. So
Yeah, so C.
okay, how about you, Aommaster?
I agree. Like, Horner has really good cooldowns to help clear the locks, but you need an army.
Yeah, I had a
If you need an army,
video.
you're gonna struggle.
I had a video of using Hot and Horner here, and I clearly stated that the only reason I'm using Hot and Horner is because they are clearly the weakest one, and this is clearly the easiest one. So I just put the 2 and 2 together, even though they're no good on this mutation. When I assigned the commanders initially, I'm like, yeah, Hot and Horner is the only one, or rather, this mutation is the only one where I would trust I can still be decent with Hot and Horner, so I put him there. But I agree. I think we were all in agreement. Hot and Horner goes in C. And if we are going to bell curveify this, I don't think there's anyone worse than Hot and Horner. But we'll find out later. Let's move on. Karax, where do we put him?
Karax, I would probably put him, I think, around A tier, maybe S tier. Like, Karax is really good, assuming you're playing P3 Karax using your Spear of Adun. Similarly to Dehaka, his like Sentinels with the Reconstruction upgrade. If they're caught in the Temporal Field, they're basically immune to any damage. They will not die.
That's
So,
awesome.
I think eight. I think reasonably speaking, A tier because you still need an army. He cannot like
You can
essentially push
capture
the
with
locks completely.
you can capture with observers and Spear of Adun. You can cannon push. But since you say A, let's go with that. Tutu, how about you?
I put them in B.
B.
Since well, I guess I'm too used to not. I'm too used to going from the front, like from attacking from the front. I don't usually capture from the back. I don't know why. I don't usually do it, but probably should. Because I didn't consider the observers, but then that does work. Army Karax is
Painful.
um it's painful, but his reconstruction, like the reconstruction beam, makes it so that you don't lose that much. Even though you get hit, you just get healed. So it's just a little bit annoying. So you get pushed around a lot, but your units aren't gonna really die from the twisters. So I put him in B because just if you play like P2, I haven't tried P3, so I don't know how that would be. But I think P3 could work well, I guess. I'll still put him in B.
I actually agree with Aommaster here. I would put him in A because of all the commanders, Karax is one of the few who really wouldn't mind if their ally goes on stalling this map because he can just camp each lock with static defense, and it doesn't matter how long he takes before he gives up trying to get the bonus. The enemies waves will not do anything because they'll run into Karax's towers. That's why I have him in A. Does that convince you, Tutu, or still B?
The defense part makes sense. Yeah. So okay.
All right.
The defense.
Yeah, because
I just think that it seems that the most difficult mutator is the ally.
yes, that's why.
Not anything else.
That's why
Yes.
That's why I told you guys. I told you from the beginning. The best commanders for me are those who will nullify the ally mutator. That's why I have this commander in S who neither of you will agree with. But yeah, do you guys agree?
I already know who that is.
do you agree with A now?
Yeah.
All right. There we go. Karax and A. Kerrigan, where do we put him?
Kerrigan S, because she does everything by herself, and you can Omega Worm to wherever she's needed.
That's true.
And yeah, so just Kerrigan and Omega Worms, enough to do everything. You don't even need an army.
And if you have a hybrid threatening to Yamato, you can just hide inside the worm. And I think she actually dodges that if she's inside the worm.
Yeah, or just eat it.
Eat it? You're not Dehaka. You're
260 damage. Just take it and continue fighting.
Oh, I thought you meant eat the hybrid. Oh, you meant eat the Yamato. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
Eat the damage.
How about you, Aommaster?
I agree. Like with Kerrigan, you don't need any other units. Just build the mega worms.
All right, cool.
Solo the map.
Kerrigan in S tier. I actually had her in A because she can't force her ally to end the game, and she can't really finish the bonus for her ally. But since both of you say S, I'll defer to you guys. Nova, where do we put him?
I'd say S tier as well. Nova has one of the fastest clears. I think on lock and load is like 6 or 7 minutes. Hero solo. Like if you make army units, it's just a bonus. But
so you're
your
assuming
airstrike, your technical airlift.
You're assuming a third prestige or any prestige?
The one thing about the third prestige is if you get caught in a temporal field, I think you decloak inside the temporal field, even though you have that super cloak.
That's interesting.
But I think essentially P0, P1, P3 would all be fine, but I would say maybe P0 or P1 recommended.
By the way,
At least
speaking
the
of
playstyle that I'm thinking about.
speaking of prestigious, does Phoenix go down to B without prestigious if you don't have the Akundelar thing?
Yes.
Yeah, probably B,
I'd say
right?
yes.
But anyway, so Nova, you say
Mhm.
Nova is S because of the airstrike
Yeah.
and the all the stuff she does. Okay, how about
Airstrike, tactical airlift, nuke, and the holo decoy, and just the speed of her clear on lock and load just as a hero solo
Yeah.
is just really, really good.
makes sense? How about you, Tutu?
Nova, I did P3 without mining, and I finished in like 7 minutes. I think I forgot, but it's really fast.
If it's 7
And-
minutes, then you actually only have to deal with a singular wave. Think about this, guys. Would you rather go after the bonus, get that 2000 EXP, and have to fight like six or more waves by finishing at 14 minutes? Or would you rather get your quick and easy 285,000 EXP, finish in 7 minutes, only have to deal with a single wave? Come on, guys. Anyway, where do you put him, Tutu?
S, because Nova can clear everything, and you can just summon units to the locks. You don't have to walk there, so that's pretty, like, that's makes it a lot easier.
I thought you were totally gonna say summon your ally to the lock, but that makes sense too. Alright, let's put Nova in S tier. That's why I agreed so easily, because she can also recall her ally to the... Anyway. Raynor, where do we put him?
Raynor, he needs a big army, just like Han Horner. His army's brittle. They'll get killed if they get hit by too many twisters. So C.
Yeah, kind of, even if you go third prestige, just spamming Hyperion. By the way, if you remember that video I did last time, guys, you could totally have two Hyperions active at the same time on this map. If you put the Hyperion stuck in the Temporal Fields, it can actually delay the time for long enough to have two Hyperions at the same time. But that notwithstanding, Tutu puts him in C. How about you, Aommaster?
Yeah, I agree. It's like C, maybe B. It's a little bit of a stretch to put him in B. Like, his cooldowns are good, but he needs an army, and that's going to be his biggest weakness.
Alright, fair enough. Let's put Raynor in C. Stetboy, where do we put him?
Is there any tier list where he does not come in S tier?
Yeah.
Really?
Less.
I mean, like, P2 Stetmann, hero, like, Super Gary solo, basically just laughs at everything.
Yes.
He will be a little bit annoyed, I think, by the Twister mutators, but...
No, not the Twister Mutator, the Ally Mutator. The only thing that will annoy Stetboy here
maybe the ally
is the Ally Mutator, not any of the real mutators. Like, I've had games where I'm sitting on the last lock at like 8 minutes. 8 minutes! Come on, Ally, send a unit! And Ally's like throwing singular Zerglings at the bonus, like, come on, Ally, do something! Oh man!
Yeah.
So you say S tier?
Yeah, I think with B2,
With the...
Stetmann,
I think even without the second prestige, you can still pretty much do it. It'll just be a little harder. But still, I think either S or
ever
A.
so slightly harder.
Yeah, how about you, Tutu?
Stetmann, Gary, super. You don't need an army. The army's just there to, like, capture
pretty.
locks while he's doing elsewhere.
You don't even need an
You
army to
can
do that.
burrow
You,
like Zerglings at the locks.
you can just send your overlords
And
to the locks. But yeah, singular
But then,
Zerglings. Yeah.
actually, burrow units get knocked by Twister too. So yeah, you could send overlords.
Yeah.
Wings move faster, a little bit faster.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
S tier.
S tier. Alright, we're in agreement with S tier. There we go. Without prestige, a little bit harder, but probably still an S tier. Stukov, where do we put him?
Stukov, he's same reasoning as my original Karax ranking, which is he has an army, but it doesn't really care about getting hit by Twister because they're expendable.
True.
So, B.
Which prestige, by the way?
P3.
Oh.
If you use something that's not P3, then probably lower a little, because you have to dodge twisters and stuff.
How about mass siege tanks with P1? You don't need to move siege tanks around. You just need to fly an overlord to the spot, then deep tunnel all your siege tanks there.
In the air units, you need something to fight those.
Call down Alexander or
Probably
something?
a call down.
Yeah? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let's go with B. How about you, Aommaster? Where do you put him?
Yeah, I agree. Like B seems a good rating. Like you could theoretically use P1, but you're gonna have a really miserable time with Twister and all the other environmental mutators.
Just
Play P3.
deep
Keep your
tunnels?
life easy.
What do you mean miserable? Just deep tunnel siege tanks. What's so miserable about deep tunneling siege tanks?
The temporal fields and the time warps and the twisters.
I guess that makes sense. Alright, let's put him in B. Yeah, it's looking like a pretty balanced tier list so far. It's like a solid block with the stat boy sticking out at S. How about Swann? Where do we put him?
Swann. It's like C tier, B tier. Like I don't know where to put him because like he's not even one I would consider for this mutation. I would say maybe I'd probably put him in C tier. It's like he needs a really massive army to be.
What do you mean massive
His
army? Just
drill, his
floating
cooldowns are
factories.
decent.
Just float factories.
Yeah, you float your factories, but
They're
still
immune to
need kill
Twister.
Stuff. Drill takes forever to kill things, so I don't know. I'd put him in C tier, but I'm not too sure.
Alright, how about you, Tutu?
If you're doing all factories with like static defense, then he's A. If you're building an army, then he's C.
Yeah, I thought
Because-
so. I think the way to go here for Tutu. Go ahead, Tutu.
So yeah, I'm pretty like the factories get caught in the temporal field, but I don't think they get stopped by the twisters. They just keep going. So you can just float factories everywhere and then teleport SCVs or tanks to the locks when you have cleared most of the things, and then build static defense there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Except even lazier. I just teleport anti-Hercules to capture the locks, and I'll actually let the laser drill handle everything. I think we're all assuming that the first prestige here, right? Heavy weapon specialist.
Yes.
So does that
Yes.
convince you, Aommaster, to put Swann in A?
Sure, like I did not know where to put him because he's not the commander I would initially think of when it comes to this mutation.
I think
So,
the reason
tier.
the reason ultimately why I don't disagree with A is because similar to Karax, Swann can also just camp the locks with static defense, so it doesn't matter if his ally takes forever to kill the bonus. That's why ultimately I agree with A. But if you agree with A, then we're unanimous. Then it's fine. Okay, there we go. How about Tychus?
Tychus can do everything himself, just everything, and then he can have an SCV capture locks or something. So, S tier.
That's quick. How about you, our master?
What he said.
Come on, guys. It's S tier. People are gonna argue. Why we put Tychus in S tier with any? All right, let's put him S tier. Vorazun, where do you put him?
Vorazun. I'm tempted to put her in like maybe C, maybe B tier. She needs a massive army. Her most powerful call down, which is stop, is pretty much useless on lock and load unless they want to have a lot more fun playing the game. Yeah, I'd be tempted to put her like C tier, maybe B tier because her army's really strong, but yeah, I'd say C tier.
Tutu, how about you?
So, Vorazun is the only one I have on for D, because her being there actually makes things worse. Well, if you use time stop, then it'll be D. If you don't use time stop, then it'll be C. So using time stop makes it more difficult for pretty much like you have 20 seconds of benefit, but then the rest of the mission will be a lot harder. If you don't use time stop, then you're just like a regular commander, like a regular commander with an army, which is the C tier level.
I put Vorazun in S tier. Vorazun's my S. And you
Yeah, I
guys
knew
know
it.
why. You guys know why. She can Dark Pylon recall workers to the locks. So it doesn't matter if your ally keeps F2ing his entire army away from the lock that you already have a unit standing on that you stole from your ally. Like, you can actually force your ally to actually end the map here if you're Vorazun. And as a bonus, if you are the Vorazun, then you automatically cannot have a Vorazun ally who will mess things up by using time stop. Think about it, guys. If you play one of the S tiers, if you play as one of the other S tier commanders, Dehaka, Kerrigan, Nova, Stetboy, Tychus, and you have a Vorazun ally who drops a time stop, then that will make things really more annoying. But if you're the Vorazun, you will automatically no longer have a Vorazun ally who will use time stop and ruin everything. And on top of that, you can Dark Pile and Recall your allies' workers to the locks that you've already captured, and you'll float a lot of minerals, by the way, because your army is Dark Templar and Corsair. So you'll float a lot of minerals, and you can use that to build static defense at the locks. And since you're not using time stop, you can actually just push. You can just push very slowly and not fear that your ally you will ruin things by using time stop, because since you're Vorazun, your ally cannot be a time stopping Vorazun. And you have Black Hole, you have Dark Pile and Recall, your army is still pretty decent. That's why I have her in S. But since you guys don't agree...
I think that this is your random Q PTSD speaking.
Hey. It may be PTSD, but it's true. The T in PTSD stands for true. Post-true. Stress this thing. Yeah, it's true. Therefore, I'm not lying. Therefore, therefore Vorazun's S. There we go. That's my TED talk, guys. Where do I put Vorazun? Justice for Vorazun, guys. Hashtag justice for Vorazun.
E or D. Now that you talked that much about Vorazun, I say D tier.
What? No, I cannot.
It's D to discourage. Discourage.
Think about it, guys. If you are the Vorazun, you cannot have Vorazun ally who will time stop. Just that alone already puts her up a notch.
If you're playing with someone you know, they wouldn't do this. If you're playing with a pub and you recall them, they might grief you, and you'll have a.
You won't. They won't. They probably
end up with not winning.
They probably won't know. If the Vorazun ally leaves, it's honestly easier. Or if you're Vorazun and your ally leaves, it's probably easier, because they know which other commanders to have, which are probably stronger in the map. Honestly, if you're Vorazun and your ally leaves, it will just make the map easier, not harder. Come on. Right?
Strong disagree.
What? How can you have a harder time as Vorazun on this map when your ally leaves?
There's a 1 in 17 chance that someone will be Vorazun. If you're not Vorazun. I'm willing to take those chances.
Fine, where do you put him?
C. C, D if you use time stop.
Alright. So we'll put Vorazun in S. Alright, let's put Vorazun in C. But let it be known that I wanted Vorazun in S tier, and these two meanies up here wanted her in D tier, which I strongly disagreed with. There we go. Zagara, where do we put her?
S tier, because Zagara P3 has deep tunnel. If it's not P3, then it's C tier, because you have an army going through from the front door.
Nah, that makes sense. How about you, Aommaster?
I agree. Like, if you're gonna play Zagara, play P3.
So without
Gives you all the
prestige, she's C tier. With the third prestige, the Apex Predator, she's S tier.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. There we go.
Huge difference.
Yeah, huge difference. For Zeratul, where do we put him?
I'd put him in S tier as well. Like, you have a very powerful hero unit. You have really powerful calldowns. Prestige, I don't think it matters which prestige you play, so maybe P3, but like P0, P1, P2, I think they're all fine.
Before we let Tutu speak, Master, are you willing to bet that Tutu made a no mining run with Zeratul?
I would not be surprised. Like a lot of these commanders.
Yes or no?
with
Yes or no?
heroes- No mining with Zeratul?
Yeah. Do you think
I
Tutu
think- I
already
think
did it?
I'm pretty sure it's doable. Yeah.
Did he do it though?
Did
Yes.
he do it? I'd say yes.
Tutu, did you do it?
I uploaded this like a year ago. I did no mining on this map like a year ago.
So you also put Zeratul S tier, right?
Well, if you're going for 103 artifacts, it's gonna be C tier. But if you're going to play normally, then it's S tier.
All right. So which prestige do you use?
I had 2 runs. I used P3 no mining and P2, but I just got like shield guards.
All right. Without prestige.
Really hard.
Without prestige.
Without prestige, it's still VS.
Still S. All right. All right, then settled. So Zeratul and the S tier. All right, so we have a lot of commanders in the S tier. I wonder how we're gonna rank them. Who's the best among the S's?
Yeah. Maybe.
I actually think it's Stetboy.
Kerrigan?
Kerrigan? I actually think
Because
it's Stetboy.
Kerrigan ally can use the worms to get to the locks faster.
I think Stetboy honestly is easier though, because you can actually like have the locks all cleared really early on without any units, and you still can benefit your ally by using the stat zones. I actually think it's Stetboy. But I don't disagree with either Dehaka or Kerrigan if you guys can agree on either one of them.
I you know what? I'm thinking along the lines of like just raw power and damage output. Like P2 Stetmann might be good, but
Yeah, of course.
like it's very difficult to pick. They're all really, really strong.
They're all really
Any
strong.
commander with a hero unit, or most commanders with a hero unit.
I can see a
really
case for both Dehaka and Kerrigan. I even see a case for Nova, because as I mentioned before, the hardest mutator here is ally, and you can airlift your ally, force him to end the mission, but recalling a random unit he has on the map to the lock. But how about I don't know how much of a factor that is to you guys, but I still think Stetboy is the top of S, the best for this because. He's super guy is just so strong, and that's before he makes anything else.
That's true. Kerrigan takes a while. 10 minutes to get immobilization wave.
Yeah. Whereas Gary has, E-Gorbs upon E-Gorbs of fun.
That's true. Yeah, probably Stetmann.
Yeah.
I think we would say.
Alright, there we go.
I did no mining with Zagara, and I accidentally speedrun the map. I finished it so quickly, like I was surprised this was even possible.
So you
Faster than-
speed as part of a meme run.
you think Zagara is the second best commander?
No, I don't think Zagara's second best, but much faster than I had expected.
Interesting.
Because you just deep tunnel to the back and then you kill everything.
Yeah. So who's the second
But
best?
that's without an ally.
Who's the second best? Dehaka or Kerrigan?
Second best.
Or Nova?
Zeratul.
Zeratul?
He kills it's basically who gets their power online fastest, right?
Dehaka comes out at the minute.
But he's not really strong. Like he doesn't power through the bases at 1 minute.
I guess, yeah. You have to be
Zeratul,
careful.
yeah.
How about Kerrigan though? You just build Omega Worms. You can fly Overseers to the back, pop Kerrigan there. I guess the mobilization takes a while. It's also true. How about you, Aommaster? Who do you think is second best?
Second best. I'd say possibly Nova, maybe.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking Nova too because on top of that airstrike, which are completely immune to all the mutators, but the airstrike shenanigans are completely immune to mutators. And if you go the third prestige, you can just sneak around this Nova, that singular Nova unit, and I don't know, drop single Ravens at the locks to capture siege tanks. Use, I don't know, drop stuff there once Nova's cleared them out. I actually think Nova has a strong case for second best, even first best, but Stetboy is just too strong. Anyway, yeah. How about you, Tutu? Do you think Nova could be second best here?
They're also good. Just like, I guess if you're counting your premium, then Nova can get an extra points, 200 minerals to bring an ally to your lock.
Yeah, and finish it. Okay, we'll put Nova at second best. Who's third best? I think it has to be either Zeratul, Dehaka, or Kerrigan, right? Like Tychus and Zagara bottom of S.
Zagara would be bottom, because if she gets overwhelmed or something, she's gonna die.
Yeah. Tychus can still do a lot with Lone Wolf, but you can kind of get thrown around with the mutators, especially Twister. I think Twister is the most annoying mutator here, because you get thrown around. So yeah, so like the top of S is Stetboy and Nova, middle of S is Dehaka, Kerrigan, and Zeratul, bottom of S is Tychus and Zagara, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So who between Dehaka, Kerrigan, and Zeratul, who do you like most? Who do we like most between them? Do we put Kerrigan on top just because she has Omegrobes which help her ally? Do we put Dehaka on top just because he can have 2 or 3 pack leaders active at the same time, and also maybe even Zweihaca? Or Zeratul? I think between the 3, Zeratul's probably my bottom one. Just because he doesn't, have extra stuff like Kerrigan and Dehaka. I don't know. How about you guys?
If you use Zeratul cannons, the cannons aren't affected by.
Oh, that's true.
Mutated.
Completely immune. But don't they get slowed down by Twister and Temporal Field? And you can't micro them out of the way either. They're stuck.
Ignore them, like they're free.
Ah, right, that makes sense.
Like one of your 5 cannons is doing less than it should.
That makes sense. How about you, Aommaster? Who do you think is better between Dehaka, Kerrigan, and Zeratul?
Oh. I actually do not know.
Yeah, I think
They're all like
they're all really strong. But if I were on the solo queue, I would
Zeratul.
rather have Zeratul on the solo queue. I
like
guess
you're not gonna be able to force it to do anything.
I
So
guess
you might as well
another
pick commander.
yeah. I guess another nice thing about Zeratul is you can have the Void arise, and you can even have an actual army moving around and teleport into the locks in case any of them come under fire, or have a Watcher with extremely high vision range, and you can intercept any attack waves with cannons as they arrive. Yeah, I guess Zeratul can be the third best. All right, let's put Zeratul as third best. Between Dehaka and Kerrigan, are they tied? Are they actually tied, or is one better than the other?
Kerrigan helps the ally more, but if for some reason you go to late game and if you're unlucky and you have an air enemy, then you're gonna have a little bit of a harder time.
So you say that Dehaka is just more robust?
Overall, yes.
No, that's good enough for me. So the rankings for S are Stetboy, Nova, Zeratul, Dehaka, Kerrigan, Tychus, then Zagara. Agreed?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds about right.
Okay, for A tier, who do we put on top of A tier? I think Fenix is top of A tier.
Phoenix.
Yeah, because of that first prestige, the Acondellar. Really good. You can have an S tier type strategy with Phoenix Acondellar. It's just, it requires macro. Second best, I think, is Karax. Because of the
Karax.
defense. Yeah, Karax.
The regen.
Do you agree, Aommaster?
Yep.
Third best, Arcturus or Swann?
Um,
Manx, probably.
Probably Banks.
Because of Earth Splitters? What if it's air?
Yeah.
And his call downs in general. His call downs are just generally a little bit better.
I guess. I like the approach though of just floating factories of Swann. Like, you can play this mutation at like 10 p.m. as Swann, just because of the floating factory strategy. But in terms of power, I do agree that Arcturus is stronger. Alright, let's put Arcturus before Swann. So the rankings for A are Fenix, Karax, Arcturus, then Swann. For B, who's the best among the Bs? Alarak? Just because he has the mothership?
Abathur.
Abathur?
Abathur.
Because he has ultimate evolutions?
Yes, Deep Tunnel.
Yeah.
You can
I
also
guess.
like Deep Tunnel roaches to locks.
with the second
reason.
prestige. Alright,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, so Abathur, and then between Alarak and Stukov, who's better?
Probably Alarak. I think he gets to his
So
strength
this is-
like a little bit faster.
This is already correctly ordered. The B tier is already correctly ordered. Abathur, Alarak, and Stukov.
I would say Alarak is stronger. Stukov is easier.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's true. I guess it's just your preference. So among the C tiers, who's the best?
Artanis with Guardian Shell.
With a Garden Shell, not Archship Commandant?
No, because the people in C get pushed around a lot, and their armies might die because of too many Twister hits. So with the Guardian Shell, you live a little longer. And yeah.
So Artanis is better because of Garden Shell, because of the stuff like Twisters throwing your army around. But if you're just making Dragoons, wouldn't it be better to just replace them with more Dragoons?
Well, if they don't die, you don't have to replace them.
Yeah,
Or you
I
just
guess.
have more.
I guess I really like the Archon dudes though. Really nice. And yeah, I guess Artanis with Soul Bombardment, with Garden Shell, which also helps your ally. If you have Stetboy, Nova, Kerrigan, Dehaka, Tychus, Zagara, they're automatically better just because of your Garden Shell. So I can see Artanis being top of C. Alright.
Well, the one thing as well is, right, with P3, you can also use your shield overcharges to reduce the damage that your army takes anyway.
Yeah,
That
alright.
is always an option.
Alright, who's next?
Yeah.
Who's second best with C? I think Vorazun.
Raynor?
What does Raynor do better than Vorazun?
Drop units
Call them.
directly on the lock.
You can Dark Pylon then warp in units.
But you don't have vision.
You need vision.
Got
You
it.
need
Vision.
you need vision first, whereas Raynor doesn't need vision.
Well, if you drop the units directly on the locks, said units will die immediately. And you'll aggro the enemy to capture the locks. So, like, the advantage of Raynor of not needing vision kind of goes against the spirit of doing that.
Well, I'm thinking
I
more
mean,
along
like-
the lines of the Hyperion. Like the Hyperion, you can use to like weaken like two of the 5 locks. Like the 2 back locks, you can weaken and take out all the hybrids with just the Hyperion, the first Hyperion cast that you use.
In terms of
And then just clean
later
up
game,
with-
though, like the guys in C tier, you have to take it to the later game. And I think once the later game hits, I think Vorazun is just straight up better. Because of Death Recall, because, again, recalling your ally to the locks, because of Shadow Fury. I actually think Vorazun is, cannot be below Haren, Horner, or Raynor. I don't know. Do you guys agree?
It's hard for me to do this just because I didn't really play any normal games with anyone except Han Horner and Artanis. Like I played P1 Archons with Vorazun.
Why would you do that?
And because it's fun, steal everything, and then
I guess
it was doable. Like, and I used time stop, and it was fine.
All right.
But Han Horner had to play normally, so I would put Han Horner at the bottom because I couldn't do anything.
Exactly. Exactly. I've been saying this. Like, no one's worse than Han and Horner. How about you, Aommaster? Do you think anyone's worse than Han and Horner?
Vorazun.
No.
Especially if you use time stop.
Then don't use time stop. Come on. For all the commanders, we've so far been assuming correct prestige, correct gameplay, correct strategy, correct micro. Why would you suddenly assume for Vorazun you do incorrect strategy? Why would you do that?
Okay, fine.
But you don't
I'd say
use it. You
maybe
lose a lot of
Hot
power.
Anyway. So between Raynor and Vorazun, I honestly think, yeah, Raynor has to go to the late game either way. And when both these guys get to the late game, I think I prefer Vorazun, honestly. This Black Hole, Shadow Fury, recalling your ally to the lock to end this madness. I think Vorazun. Yeah.
Right.
I think Vorazun, guys. You can't argue this. I've actually you guys don't see this because we're on battle.net chat where there's no screen sharing, but I have a separate V tier above the S tiers. I have a separate V tier above the S tiers. So Vorazun's the only one there, and there's like two empty tiers below, and then there's S.
All right.
Alright, so for C tier we have Artanis, Vorazun, Raynor, and Han and Horner. There you go. If we're gonna bell curvify this, I think all the guys in C would go like 2 tiers lower. And then we're gonna have to split S into like 3 tiers. If we're gonna bell curvify this. Like, hold on. I'll put Artanis, Vorazun, Raynor, Han, and Horner in E. I'll put Abathur, Alarak, and Stukov in D. I'll put Fenix, Karax, Arcturus, and Swann in C. Then the bottom of S, Tychus and Zagara go to B. And the three guys who are really close go to A. So Zeratul, Dehaka, and Kerrigan go to A. It's a little close to looking more bell curvified, but like in this case, S, A, and B are really close, and the rest of the tiers are really far. But anyway, that's only if you want to bell curvify this. I think the way we did this is fine. Any more thoughts to add on this mutator other than don't use time stop?
As usual, just like try and clear the mission as quickly as possible. The second you start getting those double attack waves spawning, the mission just becomes so much more difficult.
Agree. So like I said, and as like our master said, the sooner you clear this, the easier it will be. Not just because you don't have to fight more of the waves, but you also don't have to fight the stronger waves. How about you, Tutu? Any other thoughts on this mutation?
Build static defenses at the locks to push away overseers and ravens.
That's actually really good. All right, so this is the tier list for this week's mutation. As you can see, it's very heavily S leaning, S and A. Like I think half the commanders are either S or A. So if there's any week where you wanna get your bounty achievements, this is it. And I'll see you guys next time. Oh, also watch Aommaster and Tutu's videos down below. They're awesome. Yeah, see you guys next time.